Warhammer 40k Darktide is a game that came out almost a year ago, and simply put, Payday 3 had some issues. I mean Darktide. With content drought on release, with the gameplay feeling tiring after a day or two, with multiple server shutdowns that would not allow people to play at launch. With it being online only. It's kinda weird that two 4-player co-op shooter games released on Game Pass day one had these issues and suffered the same fate. Both games had these really amazing skeletons with some issues, like weapon grinding where you had to play for days to get the exact weapon you'd want, as well as a poor leveling system or power system, with both not really allowing for build diversity, with there being an obvious meta that doesn't allow a player to express themselves in any way. And only having a list of like 8 missions sucked. Everything that wasn't explicitly gameplay was horrible, feeling like you had to slog through molasses to get anything done. But the game's only getting worse if you want to sink time into them. Hi, I'm Freelance. I've covered a lot of Darktide content on this channel. I did 2 build guides for Ogren, and another on the update history of Darktide around that time, and if it was good now. I put over 100 hours on this game, so when I tell you I wanted this game to be so desperately good, I really mean it. And oh crap, this video's a long time coming, huh? The video I made about Darktide's update history became outdated really fast, like a month after, with new things coming out, with a whole new brand of cosmetics you can get just by playing the game and doing some challenges, while also making the grind for some weapons a little easier. The game still left everybody kind of wanting for more, especially because of its bare bones leveling system. Seriously, I think the best part of Darktide is still the impressive look into 40k, with its universe and look and sounds that really capture the feeling of what 40k would be like to be in. Especially being an impressively immersive look into 40k as the janitors cleaning up stinky messes, zombies, and giant plague beasts for the Imperium and the Inquisition. Plus, the soundtrack was so full of scrumptious sci-fi grimdarkness that it would make a quirked up white boy bust it down sexual style with a little bit of swag for his commissar. Darktide has gotten some updates before, but none of them are the class rework that I plan to talk about in this video. Some added functionality that should have been in the game at launch, like the Shrine of the Omnissiah being added after the cosmetic shop, which is a fact that I will never not talk about because I find that crazy. Stuff like added cosmetics and making it so there are other variations of wacky weapons like copper wire spools or slightly different heavy stubbers with slight damage changes and different models. Some missions also got added so you don't have to run the same assassination mission over and over again until the sun explodes, with this meat being added to the content-starved skeleton that was Darktide. And then the long-awaited day finally came, a day prophesied by shamans and other people of influence that Darktide would be a game worth playing in a year or two. Ancient signs pointed to it. The Aztecs and Mayans knew about it. Secret societies and shadow cabals started getting ready for the day that Darktide would finally be considered good. Which begs the question, because of its new update, is Darktide saved? On October 4, 2023, Darktide officially released, or at least it felt like it did for PC players. Darktide is now on Xbox 2 for all you people on the console that wanted to give it a try, with them improving quite a bit on each class, adding build diversity through skill trees that are spiritually lifted from Vermintide 2. Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess. Although no more content was added in maps or even weapons, this made the game so much more replayable through build diversity, because now there's things like getting 3 different abilities to choose from that can range from taunting enemies you see in a radius around you, or literally making it so nobody can die in a 30-meter radius around you because of your faith in the God Emperor, with it just being that strong. Same thing goes with grenades and aura abilities, making it so the game didn't just have 1 or 2 builds that work on higher difficulties. And all classes got this treatment. So let's go over each class rework and the new skill trees from best to worst. I bet you didn't know you were also signing up for a best to worst ranked video, but you sure did. The Psyker is probably the absolute best rework, being part of the Shadow Wizard Blizzard Lizard Gizzard money gang that got the most amount of variation in how they can play the game. I honestly think much like a mage in D&D, they start kinda weak, but at max level they are outrageously overpowered, being able to destroy rooms full of poxwalkers harder than I destroy Peach Cobbler. For Psychers, this new unyielding versatility comes in handy. With their abilities and their brain, that can explode and light on fire if they aren't careful in lore, including like pushing things down, creating a shield that stops all projectiles and explosions, or flames, or flexing your wrinkled brain, making it so you can do more damage with you getting a little tired after you use all those powers from the warp. To blow up Nurgle worshippers' pancakes with your mind. For you blitz, you get some things like lightning acting like Emperor Palpatine, where you can harness unlimited power, which is great at clearing rooms, or maybe you just want to Traba dump on someone, making it so their head goes bye-bye, which works exceptional for larger enemies. But hear me out, Magic Mythal. With them being homing shards of psychic energy that make it so you have some interesting ranged gameplay against things that might be shooting at you. Your auras are all about dealing damage, keeping abilities off cooldown, or just making you lucky. Man, one of these sure sucks. Prescience. That name's stupid too, it should be called Prescience. Man, I hate the English language. With their keystones being about using your abilities more often, empowering your abilities, or getting some movement and tankiness. The Psyker is a powerhouse, with it leveling and decimating most things in its path. But these guys are nerds. How about we work out at the gym instead of working out our brains at the library? Ogren is for crayon eaters and glue huffers like me that really enjoy being large and hitting things like brutes, while also protecting the little jitlets in your squad. I genuinely think Ogren has no bad option, with each one of their keystones abilities, blitzes, and auras having something that can really help anybody out, including one that is melee focused, using the ability Indomitable, which makes you feel and act like the All-Star from Plants vs. Zombies, stumbling everything in front of you, while also quite possibly helping you get all of your shields back through toughness, also allowing you to do things like make people bleed or give you some more damage depending on how many people you trample. There's also a taunt that taunts that gives you a larger taunt radius, with the taunting everything with a taunt that taunts for supportive Ogrens. Or you can have one that makes Ogren do the highest single target damage in the game, with him being a good little gun-lugging Ogren. You got some new grenades on top of that, as well as your normal big box of cute grenades that actually explodes when you throw it instead of having to waste a whole level 10 feet on it. Instead, it only takes 5 levels. And you get some other perks on the way that are just great too. Or you could get a rock. Man, I love rocks. With them doing large single target damage, with them slowly regenerating, with one regenerating every minute, with you being able to carry up to 4. Or you could use an Ogren-sized frag bomb that feels just like a nuke to clear out an area with giant damage, which is great, but you can only carry one because they're heavy or something. And each aura ability somehow helps the playstyle, like making your bonks bonkier, or your supports more supportive, or your guns shoot harder, like you're a bad moon orc. And they also help your teammates out doing those exact same things too, with the keystones adding more perks like doing more damage when you squash enemies with heavies, being a tank that can get out of holds, or maybe even just straight up ignoring your magazine size and shooting however long you like, almost like a Bad Moon's orc. Hey, wait a minute. There we go. Zealot has the issue that they've always had, which is that Zealot is Diet Ogren. That is smaller and has less drawbacks, but not as big perks, even though they are supposedly supposed to be this high-risk, high-reward character. That being said, if you like Zealot, good for you. Don't worry about my opinion. My opinion's trash. Zealot has a place in a team, with them being able to take on more of a loner role while also being nigh unkillable in some situations, while others would most likely crumble, or not excel. It just takes a lot to get them there. You can kind of do Ogren Rush, which is more catered for getting into combat instead of trampling little uns. You can also use your faith in the Emperor, with you pulling out of a relic that chug-jugs you and your homies with toughness, and an overshield that keeps you and your team healthy and strong, like you're feeding them a can of spinach. Or you could just go invisible and do backstab damage if you're boring and think Spy from TF2 was the peak of first-person shooter gameplay. You should take my hot take lightly though, cause I mained heavy. Your grenades consist of an oof ow ow my eyes stun grenade, a Molotov cocktail that provides crispy poxwalkers, and a knife that does big damage that comes back when you kill an elite enemy or pick up a grenade, which I think is probably just a worse Ogren rock. 2 of your orders are super good, like damage reduction for your entire team or healing corruption for your entire team, which is something that exclusively the Zealot has and can't be really done any other way. Or you can just make it so you have 2 coherency at all times, which is stupid, because you could just stay with your team and not be a lone wolf, you brooding edgelord. Keystones do things like allowing you to do more damage if something dies close, or damage reduction depending on the amount of wounds you already don't have, which I don't really see a use for unless you're either super good and relying on having half of your body missing from the abuse you'll take, or you could just have a perk that allows you to attack faster if you run at something, helping you with survivability. Again, Oghren and Psyker have a little bit more than Zealot does, making his rework okay at most. The Sharpshooter is a class that people want to play if they just wanted to be a normal guardsman or if they like Call of Duty. With this being the shooty bang bang class. They're the lowest ranked for being too normal compared to all the other classes, and they're really good at a range, but besides that, they kind of fall flat when they have to deal with everything else. With the overall plan of the Sharpshooter and gameplay style changing very little from the class rework, but at least you excel at using things like the humble lasgun or bolters, making you really feel like a normal person in a universe full of plague beasts and oghrens. The Sharpshooter's abilities start with the Executioner stance, which is more headshot focused, also making it so you call it elite enemies just so you know where they are on the map, being able to follow them easily. Or you could have a supportive yell that makes it so you buff your teammates and help them get off of the ground with your words, like you're playing an Inspire build in Payday 2. Or maybe you could just get out of a sticky situation by going into stealth. Holy guacamole, all of those are kind of boring. Anyway, usually you want to go with Executioner stance, from what I can tell, because it fits with the Sharpshooter's task of doing hella damage all the time to special enemies that can hurt your other cronies. Grenades are also kind of boring. Smoke, stick nades for larger bad guys with armor, and grenades that deal bleed that are probably the best, because damage over time in this game just does damage over time to everything it hits in a large radius, making it do so much more damage than the other two. The Guardsman Keystones are also very basic, with each one modifying abilities to do more damage towards weak spots, more damage in general for you or your team, or doing better close range damage. I know I sound like a big Sharpshooter hater in this video, but nah, they're super cool. Every class in this game is cool, and I would admit that you should probably try out all of them. With all that being added, I would have to say that Darktide is saved. The amount of replayability added to the game by allowing more freedom of expression through builds is kind of crazy, although it still does suffer a little bit from not having a giant mission pool, with you usually having to go through some of the same missions over and over and over again. If you're on the fence about trying the game because of the content, and if you were itching to play Darktide, give it a try now. And if you aren't, wait for it to go on sale or to go down in price, and try it then. Where hopefully more things will be added, like more weapons and more missions. And I personally think they saved the game, and they saved it by making it more fun to play. And they didn't have to save the game by adding Space Marines. I don't know how some of you freaks said that it wouldn't be a 40k game unless it has Space Marines or orcs in it. Seriously, this is a call out post to every single one of you that said that Space Marines need to be in the game. Instead of adding Space Marines, they just added and improved onto the original. What do you guys think of the new update though? Do you think it saved Darktide? Make sure to tell me in the comments down below. And don't forget to spend your money on the item shop, suckers. Spend all of your hard-earned mulch budget on Kriegsman outfits. My faith in the Emperor stays true. Look at all that drip. Buy all the outfits. Buy them. Buy the helmet that looks better than the helmet that's in the bundle. Buy them. Buy more shinies, you rejects. Buy them. I love spending money. Woo! I love spending money. I'll see you in the next one, boys and girls. I'll see you in the next one. Give the game another try and have fun out there, my fellow nerds. I love you.